This video is supported by Brilliant. For all the credit we've given to the Chinese economy and a rapid growth in the past 40 years, China's achievement in space is one of them. In just 40 years, China has become one of the most successful space powers in the world, together with the United States and Russia. Although it is true that China is lagging behind in terms of certain technical specs, there is no denying that she is laser-focused right now on her space endeavors. In 2019 alone, China performed 34 launches, followed by the United States 27, Russia 25, and Europe and India, both of which had 6 launches. If we just look at the numbers, 34 seems to be an important advantage, but upon closer examination, we'd realize how powerful SpaceX is in comparison, especially considering its reusability, cost savings, and the fact that it is a private company. For audiences on this channel, it's hardly necessary for me to explain to you the history of SpaceX. It was founded in 2002 with initial funding provided by Elon Musk's PayPal money. The story goes that Elon Musk almost lost everything at the height of the 2008 financial crisis, with $100 million invested in SpaceX and another $70 million in Tesla. Obviously, the story turned out positive for Elon Musk eventually, but no one was sure of that in 2008. In May 2003, while Elon Musk was busy talking to the Russians on buying an ICBM to build Falcon prototypes, Yang Liwei, a Chinese astronaut, was going through some of the most stringent tests and training to prepare for his first space trip. It was the first human spaceflight for China and a tremendous source of pride for her people. This gave the Chinese Space Agency its human spaceflight capability, and SpaceX was just born. But the story that unraveled afterwards will soon make SpaceX one of the most successful space companies in decades. After the failed attempt at purchasing a Russian ICBM, Elon Musk was furious. He's not known to take no for an answer. If he has to build a rocket from scratch, so be it. We all know the rest of the story. SpaceX then built and launched 5 Falcon 1 rockets, failing at the first 3 attempts only to succeed at the last moment. After receiving fundings from NASA, SpaceX invented the world's only reusable rocket system with Falcon 9, which lowered SpaceX launch cost to well below $40 million per launch, beating the Chinese Long March rockets. So what made this reversal possible? The most important factor in my opinion is NASA. Elon Musk is known to speak his heart and has been controversial on many occasions, but when it comes to NASA, he has nothing but admiration and compliments, for the obvious reason that NASA is a great American agency that has done a lot of good in the past decades, but most importantly, Elon Musk understands how unlikely SpaceX could survive, let alone thrive, without NASA's support. NASA is SpaceX's core partner that could not be replaced. It represented a fundamental logic of the industry. Huge, risky funding commitments upfront, benefits later. NASA's $3 billion commitment to SpaceX is the foundation of its success, a win-win situation for NASA and SpaceX. In fact, NASA made it a principle that it will support smaller rocket companies with funding so as to bring more dynamism and competition to an otherwise stagnant industry. Congress demanded most of NASA's money to be spent on corporate interests such as Boeing and ULA, but NASA created its own success with relatively small funding supporting SpaceX. Think about the achievement of the US space industry in the past 10 years. SpaceX is the innovative force spearheading the whole industry. This is in contrast with the Chinese government lab programs, which are less competitive. The second reason is the fact that SpaceX is a US company. Rocket building is a serious business that requires huge human capital and know-how. If Elon Musk were to set up SpaceX in South Africa, where he was born, or maybe even Canada, will he have succeeded? I'm pretty sure the answer is no. Rocket companies like SpaceX need engineers from all engineering verticals. The US is the best platform for innovation and for getting the best talents. On top of this, SpaceX also has access to many of the US technologies that do not exist in China. Therefore, it is understandable that SpaceX grows faster since rocket technology is highly restrictive and the US has the most advanced technology around the world. Saturn V is a good example. It was designed, built and launched in the 50s and 60s, yet it will take China until 2030 to build a rocket as powerful as Saturn V. That's 70 to 80 years behind. And here's the part that upsets me. US domestic companies can no longer build a rocket as powerful as Saturn V. SpaceX Starship possibly will be the next Saturn V level rocket for the United States. And this brings me to my last point, the lack of demand. Despite the glory that comes with space achievements, launch business has a tiny market with little demand. Valuation for SpaceX right now is hovering at around $30 billion, where companies like Apple has a valuation of $1.6 trillion. SpaceX performed over half of the United States' domestic launch in 2019, but that only made SpaceX less than $3 billion. The entire US launch market performed 27 launches in total. It's not hard to see that the space industry is tiny. Similar industry norms is relevant for China as well. This means a slow-moving, non-competitive industry. Lack of demand also meant that talented young Chinese are increasingly working for Huawei, Tencent, and ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok, rather than devoting their lives to launch businesses. The lack of demand for more powerful rockets also meant that China's space industry had to be led by the government. This explains the much slower rate of progress. Think about it. The current fleet of Chinese Long March rocket is capable basically of any missions for the low Earth orbit. So does Falcon 9. But who will pay for a giant Saturn V level super heavy lift launch vehicle in China? Moon exploration sounds glorious for any capable government, but until someone proves the tremendous commercial incentives to get to the moon and Mars, progress in the space industry will continue to be slow. For those reasons, SpaceX has made tremendous success in the past 18 years and is leading in the world in many technical areas, especially with reusability. But China's push for the moon is admirable and competent as well. We may see an important contest coming up in the space industry, and critically, adversary in my opinion is not at all a bad thing. SpaceX competition with incumbents has made it what it is today. Now that SpaceX has no real competitors in the United States in terms of capability and cost saving, maybe China could give SpaceX a few pushes along the way to the moon. SpaceX's success has brought about the new age of space. The way SpaceX pushes new frontiers of rocketry requires a lot of knowledge and engineering expertise. This is well demonstrated with SpaceX rapidly building and testing its Starship prototypes. That's why I'm recommending Brilliant to you. Brilliant is a great tool to help you start learning. It has over 60 in-depth courses in math, science, and computer science. Courses on Brilliant give you a good framework to enhance your understanding of rocketry and help you link relevant physics topics together. On top of that, it engages you with interesting problems and examples. It helps you master concepts by solving fun, challenging problems yourself. The courses on classical physics, for example, are very relevant for today's topic. It teaches you everything from the principle of rocketry to special relativity. Brilliant groups related topics together so you can decide which one to learn first. To support Curious Elephant and learn more about Brilliant, go to brilliant.org/curiouselephant and sign up for free. First 200 people click on the link will get 20% off the annual premium subscription.